I think we're ready to start. Welcome, everyone. My name is Lars Rickard. I work here in the Cloud People in the marketing team. I will just be very invisible today because this is really Sondre and Anja who will lead the show. But before we start, I just want to give some introductory remarks. The agenda for today is quite simple. We have the introduction right now. I will go through some of the Livestorm features so that you're all aware of what's going on. And then we will talk a little bit about the experience that Anna and Sondre has had while they have been working on the Employee Center. And then we get to the juicy stuff, which would be the 7 most common mistakes that they have experienced that people and organizations make. And we have also added, as a bonus, an 8th mistake. And then at the end, we will have a summary of what we have talked about. In Livestorm, there are a few features that you can use to communicate with us. We can have an interaction. We have the chat button where you can use to chat, and I think some of you have already used it to confirm that they can hear us. That's great. You also have a questions feature where you can ask questions that we will answer at a later point. And also it's important to mention that during this presentation, we will have a few polls where you will voluntarily be able to answer the questions that have come up, just so we get a feel and view for what you're feeling and understanding as we go along. It's valuable feedback for the speakers. And then of course you can see the people who are attending, and due to privacy reasons, we only show first names. The speaker today is Anna. She's our senior user experience and user interface designer. And we also have Sondre, which is our senior solutions architect. And I guess I will hand the word over to you, Sondre.
Thank you very much, Lars Rickard. Yes, today we're going to look at some of the common mistakes. And as Lars Rickard said, we have had the pleasure to have quite some experience in developing different portals and having different employee experiences at several customers. So that is the reason why we created this webinar. Is we have seen some common mistakes that goes again in most of our customer cases, and most likely even though if you have implemented Employee Center, these are still something you can do. And maybe if you haven't, then you can at least try to avoid this when you implement in the future. So that is the background behind this, is to try to help you go on with the journey of the Employee Center to then improve the experience for your employees. And it's important to note that the employee experience is something that is a never-ending journey. That is always something more we can do to make the employee experience even better. But let's jump right into it. And before we go into, we would like to talk a little bit about maturity. As I mentioned, there is many different steps on where you can go and in them employee or the portal and employee journey. So we then have divided it up into 4 different steps, and then the number 1, 2, 3, and 4. So here we would like to run a poll right away and understand, okay, where do you think you are? Are you at number 1, where you have not really created any portal, you have some services, but everything goes usually by mail, and you're really struggling to get people get the information in a structured way and be able to quickly help and divide it to the right teams. On level 2, we have actually created some portal or self-service portal, but maybe we haven't actually started adding more and more areas and have like one place where we're delivering services and it's easy to find. But we have started the journey and we have at least have some process in the background. Then number 3 is we have then now divided and created one unified experience, kind of like a one-stop shop for all of our services, articles, and all the things a typical employee needs. They then find it in one place. And then you have number 4, which is more the advanced users where they have done all this, they have one place, but now they're also looking at, okay, we have more advanced chatbot experiences. We're looking at maybe using generative AI to improve the experience even more. So let's run a poll, Lars-Rikard, and see where do you think you are in this journey.
So the poll, I think, should have popped up at everyone's screen at this moment.
That's great. Let's give it 20 seconds for people to answer the poll, and then we can move on.
Please let me know if you don't see the poll. Great.
All right, we'll continue anyways, but is there any results, Lars-Rikard, so far?
So far, it looks like most of us are from stage 2 and up, and I think that's a great start. Good feedback.
Yeah, that's great. Then we are, then at least we have started the journey and ready to maybe take it to the next level, hopefully then. All right, then the common 7. So we have then made 7 common mistakes, and we'll go through them one by one. So these are the things we have seen, as mentioned, and let's jump right into the first one, which is one of the big ones. And that is thinking it's just a technical upgrade. So what do we mean by that? It's a lot of you have maybe moved from the service portal over to the employee center, or you're thinking about it. So in this journey, it's okay. In ServiceNow terms, it would be a simple upgrade. You could activate it and you will have the new employee center. A lot of things will not be there as you used to, but at least the functionality is there. You can start using it. But but kind of like the experience with the picture as well. Okay, you can activate the functionality, but if you don't actually configure it or actually change it to be able to meet your needs of your employees and make it nice, make sure that the functionality is actually useful for the employees, then it's nothing else. So that's what we've seen. A lot of people want to go over to Employee Center, but they don't do the research. They don't look at, okay, what is the main differences? Why should we move over? Which of the maybe nice new features would we like to start using? And maybe why? Because it's all about listening to the users. We'll go into more detail about that later with Anya. But that's what we've seen. It's a lot of people just think it's technical, but it's much more. And it's key to really look at and think about all the different things while we do it, and then also plan it a bit, not just go everything right away, but do it maybe in phases. The next one is to you, Anya, not listening to the end users.
Yeah, thank you, Sondre. Exactly, like you said, employees are the primary users, and if their needs aren't considered, the portal simply won't be effective. And a very common mistake in designing the employee center is doing it based on what IT or leadership assumes is best without gathering real feedback from employees. And if we don't pay attention to the user experience, everyone loses, not only just their patience, but also valuable time. And users, for example, they struggle to figure out the content's meaning. They may submit incorrect or incomplete information, or they have to resubmit additional details, which cause delays. While administrators spend more time on the manual tasks. They have to follow up on requests more frequently. deal with rerouting or correcting errors. And in the end, both groups may resort to workarounds, using emails or other tools, which leads to unstructured data, manual processes, and no traceability. So what we can do to prevent that? To build a truly effective employee center, you need to listen to your users, conduct user interviews, maybe some usability testing, or send out feedback surveys to simply understand their needs. A user-centered approach ensures a smoother experience in the employee center, saves time, and improves efficiency for everyone. Next, a very common usability problem that we haven't met is poorly structured forms. We know the forms are very important within ServiceNow, and poorly structured forms make it difficult for employees to request services efficiently. Users might submit incorrect or incomplete information, or simply waste time that could be spent on their actual tasks. It's somehow connected to this not listening to your users. If you want to uncover what are the problems with the forms, you need to ask the end users themselves. But what are the problems? One frequent issue is that fields aren't properly matched to the type and size of input required. So the way you ask a question directly impacts the response you'll get. For example, if a user sees only a small input field, they won't provide a detailed answer, even if that's what you need. So if you expect a longer description, always use a multi-line field instead of single-line input. Our research frequently shows that service owners fail to update forms based on the user feedback. And as a result, in forms there are fields that ask for outdated information or just simply contain mistakes. Imagine, like this example, if some junior or Gen Z employee see a form field labeled fax, so the reaction would not be the best user experience, as we can imagine.
I have one more comment there before we go to the next one, Anya.
Yes, please.
Especially on the service design, we have also seen, as you have with the example on with Gen Z, and a lot of people are also very used to using email. So then I think it's key when we design the services and forms, it should be easier to do that than sending an email. It might not always be it, but then the key part is, if you're going to have a form, then at least make sure that now it actually goes time, and then you can actually deliver better service for the users and make, okay, maybe we can deliver it quicker. If you send it by email, it might take us 3 days. But if you send on the form, it takes 1 day because it goes directly to the team who can help you solve the issue you have. And these are one of the key points. And if you make good services, then it can be, your end users can be more happy and your employees. And also you are more, it's easier for you to don't have to dispatch all of these at other times. That's just a small comment from me, from our experiences.
Yeah, good point. And we'll talk about it later, but it's good to think of a form as a conversation So it should be as easy as conversation. You ask a question and the person answers you. It should give the feeling of this fluency. But okay, we have these errors. So what are the best practices when designing service portal forms? The first one, speak user's language. Use words, phrases, concepts that are familiar to the user. Like I said, it's a form of conversation. So we pose a question and the user provides an answer. And we should keep in mind that what is clear to you may not be clear to the user. So we need to avoid technical jargon and tailor the language to the user's level of understanding. The next best practice, gather regular input. Feedback. I cannot stress this enough. Regular feedback from users is essential for user-centered design. This helps uncover users' familiar terminology and mental models, which are crucial for creating a good user experience. Next important rule is to keep it simple. We should limit the number of fields to only those necessary. Every extra field takes more time and can increase the chance of user drop-off or increase their cognitive load. You see, user can start filling the form, they see it's long, so they stop, go on lunch, take a break, and then forget to send it out. It's not the best UX. The fourth, visually group-related labels and fields. If your form asks about, for example, 2 different topics, section it into 2 separate groups of fields. It will speed up the process of filling it for the users. Longer forms should be broken into wizards or steps to indicate user progress and distance to the destination. We all like to know how much steps does it take to finish the task. So let's provide it for our users as well. Hide unnecessary content. It's similar to keep it simple, but sometimes it's been forgotten about. We should use decision trees. So only show additional fields or advanced options if the users needs them, not before. Show examples of good. Ideally, the forms you create will ask for the minimum amount of the information the user can easily answer. That is not always the reality, as catalog expands to more unique use cases. When it is really needed, providing help is crucial to user success. We should not leave them guessing. For example, we can do some pre-filled default information for the most likely answer to a question. Or use placeholders, this example text, to provide more context to guide their input. We could also provide field-specific help, so adding annotations like tooltips or hints. If a concept is unfamiliar, we should introduce it. Explain why we need such specific data. Users will react more positively if we explain ourselves and establish how the data is used. The last but not the least is offer form section support. we should provide descriptions and proper labels to each sections and fields. We could use the hints mentioned, but if that's not enough, we can always link to additional content, maybe some knowledge article or a video if we have them. So users have the option to reach out for help on their own.
I got a good comment from one of the viewers that says, I always also state, do not ask what you already know. What do you think of that, Anja?
That's a very good point. It's keep it simple. If something can be redacted, take it away from the form. It's a very, very good point.
All right.
Okay.
Then that's the next one is lacking vision and strategy. This is also a common thing we have seen. Okay, let me put you set the scene. You have then most likely we have seen usually IT portals, maybe an HR portal. These are the ones that are maybe using ServiceNow, the main users at least. But maybe you started adding a couple of areas that might be interesting. Oh, we have some couple of services. We have some. It would be nice to be on a place where we can then have a couple of services that we can report errors. Maybe it would nice be to send the task across different departments. And this is a lot of people we talk with. Look, okay, this is the IT portal. This should only be IT, or we have the HR portal. This should be only HR or any other department. It becomes very siloed as things we've seen, and they don't necessarily know, okay, where do we want to go? And the same with now, at least us pushing on the Employee Center, is more of a unified taxonomy where we would like to move all different areas to provide services, and where you want to report errors or show any information really, and maybe even intranet, then it should be that everything should be in one. But that is kind of what we've seen. There's might be lacking some vision. Okay, where do we want to go in the future? Maybe right now we would like to make it step by step. We start with, for example, IT, but in the future we might want to add other areas. And I think this key is to really start before we do anything, or in the starting phase, look, okay, where do we want to go? What kind of areas would we like to attract to start using the system? Do we want to make this a one-stop shop in the future? If then, we need to make a plan and a strategy to be able to achieve this going forward. Some of you I know, I talked with some customers, they're already there, but a lot are not at this point, but maybe would like to go there. So it's important to be clear, and as Anja said, with the services, if you have some good services and have good feedback, you can then show this to other areas, and they probably would like to, oh, we would like to make a form like that so we can get the information structured right away, so that people know where they can contact us, so we don't have to have a common mailbox, which is a common thing we see. We don't want to have this common email box. We would like to have a form on the portal, for example. So I think this is where it's really interesting, and where you can then showcase this up to the management as well. This is what we want to do. This is a strategy we have while doing this, and then also then you can leverage even more of the automations and things on the platform. And as we all know, the ServiceNow platform is it's a great platform for creating automations and for providing services. The next one, Anna, is back to you on using technical language.
Using technical language, that's a big one. what turns out from many research that we did for our customers is that usually employees don't understand IT jargon. They need simple, clear instructions. Unclear language leads to users' confusion, anger, and increases mistakes rate. It's good to rewrite the complex service descriptions in plain language. For example, request VPN access might not be understandable. So we can try configure secure remote connection, which is closer to natural language. We cannot assume that if we understand something, the same will be for the user. What does application even mean? That's a great example. One time we did remote user interviews for one of our customers. One employee interviewee was sharing their screen, demonstrating confusion when navigating the portal, and one time pointed one service title and asked, "What does application even mean?" I was conducting the interview with another UX/UI designer, and it was really refreshing for us to hear that, because to be honest, for us, it's obvious what application means. And to hear it live from the person, to hear out this question was very open-minding. Because we don't need even definition to understand what is application. But not everyone is computer fluent. And you know, if application, plugin, program, system, if we have many these concepts, the difference between them can become blurry. So it's really good to keep in mind that the simpler the language, the better.
That's very true, Anya, and I think this is not only for IT as well, as I have seen this issue for both finance and other specific company jargon as well, which is sometimes it's very specific for one group. Is yeah, this is obvious, and then you come there like, I have no clue what they're even anything about what this is about, and even I'm sort of computer fluent in some things at least. So that's
And I
very
would
true.
like to add abbreviations.
Oh, yes.
Every company has, or even departments have their own abbreviations for things that are not understood outside of their little group. So I would consider those as well as one of those technical languages.
Yeah, this new joiners a nightmare. These abbreviations. You need to ask around what does everything mean, and yeah, that's a good point.
Usually when they need the portal the most, where they need the services, they need to quickly get around and understand where should I go and report. And that's a perfect example. If you would like to do feedback, find a new joiner and then really test them out. If you were supposed to find this, how would you search? How would you look for a thing? So that is great examples to test out if it's very user-friendly. Use a new joiner, and then they will give you the truth.
Exactly, because when designing the portal and the services, you should think about the learnability, how fast people who are new with the portal can learn how to navigate it, how to find what they are looking for. And this usability testing that you mentioned, Sondre, can be really helpful when designing the services. How to label them, what name would be the most recognizable across the company. And the next one, it's close to my heart, ignoring brand consistency. We're logging in, so it's like time travel. A portal that looks different from your brand's confuses users. Some people might feel that, oh, okay, that's only the visual thing, but it's not only the visual. We people are visual creatures. The eyes, the sight is the most important sense of ours. Portal consistent with your brand builds trust and credibility. Employees perceive the organization as professional and reliable. By brand consistency, I mean that you should maintain this consistency in colors, fonts, layouts. Especially if you have not only an employee center, but also an intranet. These two should speak with each other this visual language. When employees interact with a portal that reflects your branding, they feel more connected to the organization. This is a step that is sometimes overlooked. It might be not when doing the transition. It might feel that it's not the most important thing, but you can do the first impression only once, and it's good to keep in mind that there are people who are responsible for your brand book, style guide, design system. These can be different names for basically similar things. So the rules of how the brand should be communicated, what are the visual rules of any documents, applications within your brand. And it's a very good when you plan to transition to Employee Center to reach out to your marketing team for these brand materials at the start of the Employee Center project.
Sorry.
Yeah.
We can have a little poll, I think, on this one, just to get a feel of how people see their brand consistency in their employee portal. You can continue
that's awesome.
So the poll is now live.
And who doesn't like a nice looking web page? At least from my experience, if I go to a web page and it looks not that nice, I immediately say, ooh, then the services might not be as good. It might not be as high quality. They haven't maybe thought of all the different things. So the actual full experience, I might get a bad first impression. Then most likely I'll not be as forgiving maybe if the form is long or other things. I think that is also key when it comes to brand and how the look is.
Exactly. This aureola effect also applies to interfaces. So, of course, the usability is the most important thing. And if you wake me up at night, I will say that usability, UX, is the most important. But it's like yin-yang thing. You cannot go without the visuals. And if your interface is looking really nice, consistent with your brand, if it loads this half a second longer, people might be more forgiving, as you said, because they appreciate the nice looking things.
So far, it looks like we have a couple of time travelers who might need a little bit of work on their brand consistency, but it seems like most people are satisfied, and I think that's a very good starting point. And also, when it comes to this day and age where we experience a lot of scamming or imitations to our branding, I think branding is even more important for security reasons, to feel secure about the web page you're actually visiting.
Yeah, security is a very good point here. Okay, let's move to the next one. Sondre, can you
Yes.
handle that?
Then one other mistake is failing to leverage analytics. And with a tool like ServiceNow, there should actually be no reason why you should fail on this, as there is already a tool integrated in the platform called User Experience Analytics or Portal Analytics, which you can already activate for free. This is a plugin that you can activate and just put on the portal you would like to have more analytics on. Of course, in the EU, you need to have people actually need to consent. And of course, if you write a good message on what actually the consent message is, or of why do you actually want to take this analytics, most people will actually say yes. Yeah, if it can provide better services, it can provide a nicer UI, then why wouldn't I actually accept that you track my behavior on the portal? In this analytics, there is a lot of out-of-the-box tools where you can then look at what is the typical user path, where do they go, do they actually use the main page, or maybe they go directly to some other page, their bookmark. All this information you can then read from the analytics. Maybe some people also have connected Google Analytics or other services. That is also possible. But with the out-of-the-box ones, it's very convenient to see. And also on the search, I think this is key. As Anja talked about, okay, the services, how is to find it, and the usability, I think it's key here to continually work. Okay, what are people actually searching for? And where do you don't, what are they searching for that they don't find anything? Actually having a process. Okay, let's look every month. Let's look at the most common services, the most common people are requesting errors about, what are people searching, and actually looking at the data. And then it's so much easier to show, okay, here we have the data. These are the things people are searching for, not finding. Let's do something about it. It's all about user feedback and how we can improve the experience little by little by increasing the couple of increments every time. And that is, I think, the key on creating a long-lasting, great experience is never be finished with the portal and just keep on improving all the services and what you have there.
Yeah, that and services, that and searches are very crucial to identify like faulty user journeys. I find it one of the most useful things in the analytics to go through this dead end searches. And yeah, I focus as a UX UI designer to these qualitative methods. I conduct user interviews, prepare surveys, or do card sorting. But it cannot go without quantitative. These two, the best results are are achieved by combining those two ways.
Exactly. So one of those could be, or one typical user journey we have seen and we want to really try to avoid is you have a person, this person has a problem. They go into the portal, they search, I have a problem about something. They then look, find, for example, an article. They look at one article, didn't find anything. Go back to search, search again, find another article. Didn't find anything there either that can help my problem. Does it again, does it a third time maybe. And then they go log a case. Then you say, okay, what did they actually search for? What are the things that maybe, okay, let's find out, maybe we could create some self-service documents so that person could actually self-serve, and then you can save time for both the agents and the person. So that is the thing we want to avoid. The same if you have like another one, they search, they find a knowledge article, and then they leave. That's perfect. That's exactly what we want. We want them to find it themselves. Okay, did they solve my problem? Most likely, if they ended at the knowledge article and then left the portal. So that is a typical user pods you can look at that is a success and what is not a success.
This would be quite the opposite of us marketing people. We want people to spend as much time as possible on what we measure, but in this case, I think it's a good thing if they spend as little time as possible to find what they're actually looking for.
Yeah, it's the less time they spend there, the better the portal is, really. So in that kind of sense. All right, then the bonus. And that is especially for global customers and people who are in many different countries and have users in that talk different languages. Then, of course, it's important to be able to understand and to avoid the typical translations where you don't really understand. Maybe your English is your second language, or you have it in some other. For example, me, Norwegian, Ivan, and Polish. Then we rather work in our native language and really search in our native language and also write in our native language. And that goes both for the portal and the background to have the tools to actually support people that they can write in their native language and having people who can actually translate and understand it. But also on the portal side, having all the different languages. And of course, there is certain packs already in service now. But of course, there is a job that needs to be done to quality check it, but also make the specific company lingo to be able to translate that into the good language that actually the people will understand. And of course, this is time consuming.
Question,
yeah.
on how helpful is AI in this process?
I think if you go further on, I have started looking at the AI tools from ServiceNow, and that is starting to get really good. It can, even though some of the things are just in English, but they're going more and more and into the different languages. So in, for example, the search, if you have the Now Assist search, then you're able to write in your own language, and it actually understands you really good. I tried it in Norwegian, tried it in some other people. I tried it in Spanish and other languages, and you might get an answer in English, but it really understands what are you actually asking about. And I know they are pushing certain languages natively, but also with the use of another tool inside of ServiceNow, dynamic translations. They're actually will be able to, for example, translate certain Norwegian and other languages. I know the Nordic countries are maybe not the highest priority, but at least with the dynamic translations, they should be able to actually translate a lot of the things. And you can get the help from there to help maybe make tasks to help you translate the services over time. And of course, AI is great. Type ChatGPT and other tools like this, of course, great at helping you double check the translations if you have a big batch. Yeah. Then if no other questions, then we'll... Anja, can you give us a quick summary of what all the common mistakes and maybe the things that you can do to help make it better?
Yeah, sure. So let's sum up. What should we do? We should avoid treating the employee center as just a technical upgrade. We should focus on UX, not just implementation. We should listen to the end users, conduct feedback sessions to ensure the portal meets their needs. Prioritize service design. Make service forms easy to use. Have a clear vision and strategy. We should align Portal with business goals for long-term success. We should use simple, clear language. Avoid IT jargon or any other jargon that confuses employees. Maintain brand consistency. We should ensure that Portal matches the company brand and look and feel. Leveraging analytics. Measuring performance and optimizing based on the data is crucial. And our bonus, support multiple languages if you have a global workforce.
We have a question here from one of the viewers, and that is, at their company, they focus too much on UX so that they broke the technical part. How do you find the balance?
Of course, that is the key. It's in the design of the portal. You should make it nice, you should make it look fine, but it's important to not, especially what we've seen, and if there's a designer that is not knowing all the functionality, you should design the functionality inside of ServiceNow, use the functionality that ServiceNow provides, and just change the look of that. Use to either create fully custom functionality that is new, or then you leverage the functionality that Employee Center provides, just make the look and feel a bit different. And I think that is key. Not customizing too much is the key. It's about looking, okay, these are the functionalities, let's leverage these, but let's make it into look like our own. So you can have then in the background, it's ServiceNow functionality, and then you can just have the look and feel of it could be totally different. But
yeah, if I can add here my thoughts, the UX and technical should go hand in hand, and technical architects and designers should be in the same meeting discussing, okay, what's the effort, what's our gain from redesigning this widget, for example. So it should be the decision, what we want to pursue should be collective, not focusing only on the technical or only on the visual part. Also, there's this one book, Just Enough Research, in the UX field, that takes this subject into consideration, how to know where to stop with the research. So I recommend that because it's not that simple topic to find a balance. So I recommend that for further reading if you're interested.
We have one more question here. Where can we see some examples, or can we see some examples of well-designed ESC Employee Center?
Yeah, so that is something we can contact you after this, and then we can share one-to-one. We can then share some examples and more of the things we have done, and also in our own instances. So there we can show demos and other more in-depth pictures and share our experiences as well.
Great. I would like actually to know what you guys are struggling the most with. So I will send a little poll now with these points from the summary. And just to let us know what you find the most difficult. Very good and valuable feedback for us as well. And we can share that here so that everybody can see or hear if you have things in common. We'll give that a few moments. We're having lacking a clear vision and strategy is so far on top, followed by Not listening to your end user is overtaking it now, it looks like.
Yeah, that's sadly not that much surprising.
Technical language is a big one, and failing to use to leverage analytics is also a big one. This is very good feedback. So on top, it looks like lacking a clear vision and strategy is the biggest one, closely followed by not listening to your end user. And then failing to leverage analytics and not supporting multiple languages is actually quite high. And then we have using technical language and thinking it's just a technical upgrade, then neglecting service design, and at the bottom, ignoring brand consistency. Great. Yeah, that was valuable. Thanks.
Yep. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks.
But of course, where to start? It's, as we mentioned, review our employee center. If you moved over, review. Are you failing maybe, or did you make any of these mistakes? Then maybe how could we fix them is the thinking. And also look at if you have not moved over yet, and that's the case, then really think about before you do the mistakes, then plan ahead and to be able to mitigate the mistakes. And of course, stay connected with us. We are having several webinars. Also coming on the next slide, we're doing a follow-up on this, where we will share more of a customer case, where we'll have a more dialogue and also share some insight, as they have then gone from the really start of the journey with just emails, starting to switch over to one portal into many, and then turning everything into one, and then continuing on this journey on continuous development of the employee experience.
And lastly, if you need our help, I will put a little poll here now where you're able to answer yes if you would like us to reach out to you and try to guide you on your employee-centered journey. If you want us to contact you later, please. And if you're not interested at all, please push no. That's absolutely voluntarily. You can see some of the logos underneath there. That's people that we have helped and we would be able to showcase at some point. I think, Sondre, we can maybe even share some of those portals.
Exactly. We can share some experience they had and also some pictures. But then we push it back to you, Lars-Rikard, on the next slide.
So just to wrap up this great webinar, we have a few upcoming events. We have what Sondre mentioned, another follow-up to this, where we will actually showcase one of our customers' employee-centered journeys and probably have great visuals of what it looked like. The date is tentative to be March 25th, yet to be confirmed. I think we will send out an email to all of you when we have that written in stone. So you will be, you could attend that if you wanted to. And then the following day, March 26th, we have another webinar that's all about managing and scaling your Now platform. And of course, we will be attending the summits this spring and summer in Copenhagen, Helsinki, and Stockholm. And feel free to stop by if you have any questions. Let's see, we have a few, we had one comment here from in the chat that ServiceNow Communities has a competition every year for top 10 Employee Center Pro implementation. So you can find also great examples there. That's a great tip for those who left that comment in the chat.
Yes.
Are there any other questions that you have for us? This is really your time to ask and get pro advice. We'll just give it a moment, let people think and write.
And then hopefully this gave some insight, and feel free to reach out if there would be anything else or any others that we could talk about and look at things together.
Great. With that, I think we'll wrap it up. Thank you all for attending. We look forward to hopefully see you at the next webinar, and have a great day in the meantime. We'll catch you at the next event. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.